Have you ever bumped into someone at the grocery store or at a family gathering, and suddenly, you just can't remember their name? You smile, nod politely, pretend you know exactly who they are, all while your brain is scrambling behind the scenes, trying to match that familiar face with a name that seems to have vanished into thin air. It's frustrating, isn't it? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and you're definitely not losing it. Forgetting names as we get older is something almost everyone experiences. But here's the good news. It doesn't mean your memory is broken or that you're destined to keep forgetting. In fact, there are simple, practical fixes that really do help. You can strengthen your memory in ways that are not only effective, but also surprisingly enjoyable. So today, we're going to talk about why forgetting names happens more often after 60. And more importantly, 4 gentle, science-backed ways to remember names more easily, so you can stay sharp, socially confident, and connected to the people around you. Let's begin by understanding something comforting. Forgetting names is not a sign that your brain is failing. It's a sign that your brain is busy. Our brains are like filing cabinets. And over the decades, you've collected a lot of files. Names, faces, experiences, appointments, recipes, phone numbers, song lyrics from the 60s. It's all there. But the more files you store, the longer it can take to retrieve one. That's not damage, that's just data traffic. The first real fix starts not in your brain, but in how you use your attention. You see, one of the main reasons names don't stick is because we never really registered them in the first place. Think about the last time someone introduced themselves. Were you focused on their name? Or were you distracted by the noise around you, what you were going to say next, or what they looked like? That split second where the name was said, it just didn't land. That's why the first technique that truly works is called mindful name catching. It's simple, and anyone can do it. The moment someone says their name, pause and repeat it. Nice to meet you, Mark. Say it out loud. This tiny repetition does wonders for your memory. Then try to link it to something visual. If it's Mark, imagine him holding a marker. If it's Susan, picture her on a sunny beach. The brain loves images more than words, and tying names to visuals helps them stick. Even better, ask a simple question about their name. Is that Mark with a K or a C? That tiny moment of curiosity turns a passive hearing into an active memory. You've now used attention, repetition, visual association, and emotional engagement, all in the first 5 seconds. Let's take it a step further, with another fix that's powerful, but often overlooked. Your physical health affects your memory more than you might think. Especially your sleep. Now, I know sleep can get tricky after 60. You might wake up more often, or have trouble falling back asleep once you wake up. But if your brain doesn't get its full rest, it doesn't get to organize and store information properly, including the names you tried to remember that day. You're not forgetful. You're just running low on brain energy. Sleep is when your brain takes all the little moments from your day and files them into long-term memory. Without enough rest, that filing cabinet stays messy, and that's when you start noticing the tip of the tongue moments more often. If falling asleep is hard, try this simple trick tonight. Turn off all screens, TV, phone, tablet, an hour before bed. Replace that time with something gentle, like reading a paper book, sipping warm tea, or listening to calming music. Dim the lights and tell your body, it's time to wind down. Within a few days of doing this consistently, you'll notice your sleep getting deeper and your memory getting clearer. Now, let's touch on something that may surprise you. Your emotional state plays a big role in name recall. When you're feeling anxious, self-conscious, or embarrassed, your brain shifts into a kind of fight or flight mode. And in that state, It doesn't prioritize memory recall. So when you run into someone and panic because you forgot their name, that very panic makes it harder to remember. It's like trying to untie a knot with shaky hands. So here's a powerful mindset shift. Instead of judging yourself for forgetting a name, give yourself permission to ask again. Say something like, "I remember your face clearly, but your name just slipped my mind. Would you mind reminding me?" 9 times out of 10, the other person has forgotten a name or two in their life as well, and they'll smile and tell you. Just like that, the tension drops, and the name becomes easier to recall next time. In fact, studies have shown that simply reducing your stress level around memory improves recall. So the next time your brain goes blank, take a breath, smile, let go of the pressure. Because when you're relaxed, your brain performs better. That's true whether you're 30 or 75. By now, you've already picked up some tools, like using mindful repetition, building visual associations, improving your sleep routine, and easing emotional pressure around memory slips. These aren't just tips. They're gentle rewiring strategies for a brain that still has so much strength and potential. So, now that you've started practicing a more mindful approach to hearing names, and you're making small changes like improving your sleep and releasing the stress around forgetting, we're already building a stronger foundation for memory. But there's still more we can do, and what comes next might surprise you. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? Then, on your way back out, it hits you. That moment isn't just about being forgetful, it's about brain pathways. And one of the most powerful tools to strengthen those pathways is movement. Yes, physical movement. You might think exercise is only good for your heart or for keeping joints flexible, but here's the truth. Your brain loves movement, especially rhythmic, purposeful movement. When you walk, dance, swim, or even just stretch regularly, your brain releases chemicals like brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as fertilizer for brain cells. It helps grow new connections and strengthens the ones already there. That includes the neural links between names and faces. Now, I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. Something as simple as a 20-minute walk in fresh air 5 times a week can dramatically improve mental sharpness. If you enjoy music, put on your favorite old tunes and sway, tap, or gently dance around the house. That joy you feel? That's more than mood. It's memory in motion. Let's take a moment here and imagine something together. You're walking in a park, sunlight filtering through the trees. You greet a couple of neighbors. You remember both of their names. You smile, not just because you remembered, but because you feel the difference. You feel connected, alert, energized. This is the kind of memory support your body was designed for. But there's something else your brain thrives on, and it's one of the most overlooked secrets to remembering names: being socially active in small but meaningful ways. Now, I get it. After a certain age, the pace of life changes. You may not be in the workplace anymore, kids are grown, social circles may have shifted. And sometimes, it just feels easier to keep to yourself. But here's the thing. Your brain is wired for connection. When you regularly talk with others, even briefly, your memory systems get a mini workout. You have to listen, respond, adapt, and, yes, remember names. Think about this. When you go to your local grocery store, do you know the cashier's name? What about your neighbor across the street, or the friendly dog walker you pass in the morning? Start using those names out loud. Say, "Hi, Maria," instead of just, "Hi." It's a small shift, but your brain starts to anchor that name more firmly. The more you use it, the harder it is to forget. If in-person connections feel limited, Don't hesitate to pick up the phone. Call an old friend. Chat with your grandchild. Ask them about their day and tell them about yours. Every conversation becomes a gentle mental stretch. And with every social interaction, you're creating more opportunity to practice the very skill you're trying to sharpen. Now, let's talk about a trick that's so simple, you might think it's too easy to work. But trust me, it does. It's called the name journal. Here's how it works. Keep a small notebook by your bed, on your kitchen counter, or even in your coat pocket. Whenever you meet someone or hear a name, even if it's someone on the news or in a book, jot it down. Include one small thing about them. Nancy wears blue glasses, or Ben loves gardening. It doesn't have to be perfect, just enough to tie the name to a mental image or story. You'll be amazed how writing something down, even briefly, tells your brain, "This matters. Hold on to this." It's like taking a mental snapshot, and when you flip back through that notebook later, you'll often find the name comes back to you faster and with more clarity. What's even better is that this little notebook becomes a kind of memory companion. On days when you feel foggy or unsure, you can look at it and remind yourself, you do remember. It's all there. Sometimes the name just needs a little path to follow. And that brings us to something deeper, maybe even more important than any technique. It's your belief in your own memory. You see, the moment we start telling ourselves, "I'm just bad with names," or "my memory's not what it used to be," we accidentally reinforce the problem. The brain listens to what we believe, and if you constantly tell it it's failing, it starts to act that way. But if you gently shift that belief, even just a little, things start to change. Try saying this out loud sometime. "My memory is still growing. I'm learning new things every day. I remember more than I give myself credit for." It may sound small, but over time, those words change how your brain performs. Because confidence, especially in aging, is not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about knowing that progress is still possible. So the next time someone introduces themselves, pause and make it an opportunity, not a test. Look at them, repeat their name, maybe even make a joke. Mark? Like the marker? I'll write that in my head. Laugh a little. Be kind to yourself. Because this journey of remembering names isn't about impressing people, it's about connecting with them. And connection, at any age, is one of the most beautiful parts of being human. Now, we've explored movement, connection, mindful listening, even keeping a name journal. But there's one last fix that brings everything together, and it's one most people never think of. Practice recalling names without pressure. Here's what I mean. You've probably had this moment. You see someone familiar, the name is right on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't grab it. You panic. Maybe you smile awkwardly, avoid saying anything, and later when you're home, boom, the name comes to you. Sound familiar? That's your brain working without pressure. And that's exactly the environment it needs to practice recall. So here's a gentle exercise you can do daily. At night, or over your morning coffee, ask yourself, who did I interact with yesterday? What were their names? You might remember just one at first, and that's okay. The point is to recall, not to be perfect. Make it a game. Picture the person. Say their name aloud if you remember it. If not, try describing them. Woman with curly hair at the bank. Your brain is warming up. Give it a few seconds, then move on. If you want to take it further, write down the names you do remember and congratulate yourself. Yes, actually say, "Well done. I remembered that." That sense of reward, of being proud of your memory, actually strengthens those neural pathways. And the more you recall, the easier it becomes next time. Let's take a step back now and reflect. The truth is, forgetting names isn't a failure. It's not a flaw. It's a sign that your brain is juggling a lifetime of experiences, faces, emotions, and knowledge. And sometimes that means the file cabinet gets a little full. But that doesn't mean you can't still grow, still learn, and yes, still remember. You are not too old. Your memory is not lost. It's simply waiting for the right attention, the right care, and the right belief. So start small. Smile when you hear a new name. Use it. Write it. Move your body. Talk to people. And when you forget, which will still happen sometimes, be kind to yourself. Because every name you remember is a thread of connection, a gift, a triumph. And now that you know how to sharpen that skill, just imagine what's possible. Want to learn how food and vitamins affect your memory too? Click here to watch our next video. Top 5 Brain Foods for Seniors. It's packed with simple tips that make a big difference. Like this video? Tap the like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who keeps saying, "I'm bad with names." Let's remind them, it's never too late to remember better.